First of all, you don't know me.
We're all about that high school drama girl, all about them high school queens. We'll take you for a ride in our comic girl, cheering for the right team. Drama queens, smart girl, rough girl, fashion but you're tough girl. You could sit with us, girl. Drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens.
How are we gonna get sun-kissed in? Let's send the kids to a club.
Is this us starting? Are we recording right now? Is this the top of the episode?
This might be the top of the episode.
We might as well.
You know what? That's why our listeners like it here, because we're honest.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I think you guys hearing us bitching is that's the moment we should start with because
It is.
authentic. You guys, this episode, what? Yeah.
Lee wrote on Friends, and we can take this out if we want to, but FYI, he wrote on Friends, he just wrote He's All That, the new She's All That remake. But I'm a cheerleader with what's-her-face, Natasha
Lyonne.
Yeah.
Oh, you know
The
what?
Lion King.
This does feel like a Mark Sabotage job then, because I liked that movie.
Yeah. I think he's probably a pretty good writer. But, and Get Over It, that fun one with Kirsten Dunst.
Oh, yeah. So it feels like then the fun scenes were probably Lee, and then all the weird stuff was kind of cut and pasted in the final
like a
round.
Post-it, like walking into somebody's house who has to remember all the things they have to do in a week, and there's just Post-its all over the mirror.
You mean
all
like
over,
my office?
Yeah. Or you're just like, okay, so you can absorb all the things at the same time, but it's they don't really cohesively go together. And
If you don't get them in order, you don't have a story.
Right. There's no story. It's just pieces.
Joy, give us the rundown of this episode.
Okay. All right. We do have like an official rundown. Here it is. So episode 18 of season 3, When It Isn't Like It Should Be.
Kind of like this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's quite appropriate for this episode. It aired April 5th, 2006. The group heads to Rachel's cabin as they try to get back to normal. Nathan wants to give Haley a perfect proposal. Pete Wentz surprises Peyton and hangs with the crew. Rachel and Brooke's rivalry reignites with a secret cabinet. And Mal.
Okay.
That sounds like a magic show. And
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Oh, God. We needed fur coats. It's so cold.
Where's Mr. Tumnus? Where am I?
Mouth.
Yeah. Mouth forgives Rachel for the time capsule, and meanwhile, back in Tree Hill, Karen is still angry over Keith's death. The scene we all decided was the only reason to watch this episode, really, because she's such a beast of an actress. That was amazing, but we'll get there, I'm sure. We didn't hate it. It was fine. It was like it was fun. It was just a little like it's disjointed.
It had
There
highs
were
and
parts
lows.
that were very cute. And we got our iconic, by the way, I didn't even realize that the iconic moment of the four of us girls and Pete doing our makeup was just it's a montage scene. I was like, oh, there's no scene there. And it's like one of our favorite memories, which feels insane. There were things that were very sweet, but man,
This was
a
a big
lot of
episode.
this
They had
bizarre.
ET come.
What,
Remember?
baby?
They had Entertainment Tonight come. That's where that photo came from. Not Entertainment Tonight. Was that it? There was some Entertainment Weekly, maybe. Some big magazine was there. That's where that photo came from. There was like a big magazine on set, and they came to do these.
Bells. Yeah.
They came to do photos. You know, this doesn't sound familiar.
Yeah, no, that
does
rings
not ring a
bells.
bell for me.
No, because so for us, the thing that was glaring about this episode is that the dialogue and some of the writing was like, what? It was like student film, not good. You know, first time writer, not good.
Yeah.
The episode also couldn't decide what it wanted to be. Like, are we going to a cabin in the woods to go ATVing, or are we going to a club night to, be underage drinkers in a bar? Like, is it about DJs? Is it about the wilderness? Like, and then there's poor Pete Wentz, who, is our contemporary and, to repeat, the nicest person.
So lovely.
But had to play like a guy in his 20s hitting on a high school girl, talking to her about how she can't have tattoos because her dad will be mad. Like, oh God, everything about this was wrong.
This one does not age well, friends. It just sure doesn't.
I couldn't get over all the high schoolers sitting around drinking wine. Like, wine is on the list of any high schooler in the world. They can't stand the taste of that usually. I mean, kids are like, it's like an acquired taste.
To your point, Joy, I think a large part of this episode was all promotional materials because it had Sunkissed in there. It had a very famous rock star. We literally said you're a rock star 372 times in this episode, just to remind people at home. We had all these kind of gimmicks happening in the episode. So I feel like there was something happening promotional wise. Like there was like business shit happening behind the scenes.
I think so too.
And that's all this episode is about.
It does feel like, Lee Fleming wrote this episode, who has written a lot of very amazing scripts, not even on our show, like other projects that are great and fun and successful. And it kind of feels, and we're hypothesizing here, but it feels like Lee turned in a script, and then at the sort of upper levels, it was like, well, we got to put this in, we got to insert this, we got to get Pete Wentz in, we got to get Sunkissed in. And suddenly it's like a collage project that is not very good.
No. No, how many hot tub scenes were there? I mean, it was like
a lot.
There was a lot of hot tub.
I was reading a letter in the hot tub. Joy and I were in the hot tub. Bevan and Skills were getting in the hot tub. Rachel and Mouth were in the hot tub.
Yep.
That's what I can remember.
And it just killed me. We had that amazing lake location and they just put Lucas and Nathan on the boat fishing, having a totally meaningless conversation for like 2 seconds. That should have been, I would love to have either seen Skills and Bevan stuck on the boat in the middle with no oars. Yeah. And we get to watch their whole conversation the whole time. Or have Nathan propose to Haley on the boat out in the thing, like there could have been something really meaningful with that location. It was so beautiful. And it did feel real.
Yeah, but you can't be in a bathing suit in the boat, Joy. Like they're not going to get naked girls in the boat. So let's just kick it back to the hot tub that our art department had to put in the front yard of that beautiful house. Do you know what I mean?
By the way, my favorite thing that happened with the hot tub in this episode, it wasn't even used, but Hilarie, you and Pete Wentz walking out of the house and you saying, thanks for going on this walk with me. My doctor says it's really good therapy for my leg. You guys walk past the hot tub like you're going to go into the woods. No. And then you sit on the swing. I'm like, they're not going on a walk. They're not doing any rehab for her leg. Who made these decisions?
Terrible script. Hated it. Hated it all the way. And I feel so bad for Pete Wentz. Poor Pete that's my suggestion for this episode's title. Because that man,
Pete.
His record label and his manager and like his whole team were like, yes, you're the heartthrob in the band. You're the cute one. And we're going to put you on this hit teen drama and you're going to go kiss one of the lead girls on the show. And it's going to be great exposure. And this is going to be great.
The fans will love it.
They're going to love it. That sweet man showed up and they gave him dialogue that an experienced actor would have difficulty making natural because it was so like clunky. I had trouble with it, certainly. And then they just expect us to start sucking each other's faces. And if you look that scene on the swing, we don't touch each other. My hands are in my lap. His hands are in his lap. We're just like, how do we? It was like sixth graders kissing is what it was.
So
poor
awkward.
Guy.
Well, and you said it, I want to caveat this by saying like, we're all friends and we love Pete.
Yeah.
And so we're laughing at how absurd and embarrassing this episode is. But also when we were watching it, Hilarie, you were like, dude, they wrote him. His language is like grooming. Like this is how grown up creepy men talk to actual teenage girls. Like who did this to him and who did this to us and who made all of us who, again, to remind everybody at home, like we're all around the same age, but like the dynamic on screen, it was so inappropriate. It like I have like the creepy crawlies on the insides of my skin.
Oh God.
The fact that no one caught it, one person in the entire chain of command from the studio down was like, hey, guys, do we have any notes on this? Is this
really inappropriate? Like you guys laying in bed and you being like, well, how's it going to work? Because I'm in high school. And he's like, we'll figure it out. What?
I mean, I kissed older boys when I was in high school, but it was a different time. We didn't know any better.
I didn't.
You didn't?
No.
Yeah. Well, you were at that cool all-girls school.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't condone it. And I think there was a lot of blurred lines on our show because we had a boss that was trying to kiss some of us. So why shouldn't some of us be kissing a guy in their 20s? You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and I do think, and I know we talked about this the first time Pete came on the show and the whole like Pete Wentz, the character, and Peyton flirtation began, like it didn't register as weird, I think, to us then because we are actual peers. Like we're all the same age. But when you watch it back and you go, oh man, they were having him act his real age and having us act 16. Like, I hate it.
He could do better, frankly.
Poor
like a
Pete.
grown-up woman.
Yes.
You know?
I had a 28-year-old boyfriend when I was 18.
Of course you did,
Whoa.
Joy. Of course
It
you
was
did.
for
You were
like
a city
6
gal.
months.
Yeah. Also, you were 18 at least.
Yeah, I was 18.
You didn't have a 28-year-old boyfriend like driving up to pick you up from high school.
No.
Oof.
No, my dad would have put an end to that swiftly.
Yeah.
I went on one date with a guy whose age I did not know. And he took me to like a bar for dinner. And I was like, this is a strange choice for dinner. We're just going to eat dinner, right? Because I'm not drinking. And then we went to like a playground afterwards. And he legitimately was like, do you know how old I am? And I was like,
Playground.
On a playground? Ew.
you guys, Sterling Park was a wild spot to grow up.
Wow.
And he's like, do you know how old I am? And I was like, I don't know, like in your 20s? And he was like, I'm 28. And I remember thinking, oh God, oh no, I'm so sorry for you. Like, I felt so bad for, like there was a pity thing.
Like you felt bad because you thought he didn't know that you were in high school?
No, he knew that I was in high school.
Right.
I felt bad, like, oh my God, like, will girls your age not date you? Like, I don't really know you that well.
Oh.
So it's hard for me to figure out the why there, but oh baby, I'm so sorry.
Oh no.
Yeah. And so for girls in high school, if there are any listening to our show, don't date. Don't do that.
Please don't do that.
Don't do that.
No.
It puts
Don't
me
do it.
in like the part of me that responds like the dad from Clueless. That's like, I got a 45 and a shovel and no one would miss you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, we're gonna cause dangerous trouble here.
Oh yeah.
I don't
And
like
that's
it.
me as a mom now too when I start thinking about Maria dating and like, oh my God.
Well, that joy,
Yeah.
they're getting to that age.
I know.
Has Maria seen the show?
Has she ever seen One Tree Hill? Is that what you said?
Yeah, like does she know that your character got married in high school?
Yeah, she doesn't. She's seen it like walking in the room when we're doing our thing, but she doesn't. No, I'm not gonna let her watch One Tree Hill. She's too young for that.
Yeah.
She's 11. In my opinion, in our house, that's the rule. But yeah, when I was 18, 18, 17, what's the difference? But the difference is that there is an actual age limit and that's important. But emotionally, you're still kind of in the same place when you're an 18-year-old.
Yeah, that's true.
I had no business dating a 28-year-old.
Yeah.
And he had no business dating me. And it was like really clear that he was just trying to, trying to get laid
it's
with a
gross.
little young
I will
girl.
say it's like, I think about it a lot, because we've talked about your brain isn't done developing till you're 26. You're not allowed to order a drink in a bar till you're 21. I'm like, how come grown-ups are allowed to date 18-year-olds? I don't like it.
Yeah, ew.
I don't like it.
Well,
But IRL, we really like Pete Wentz. And honestly,
Sweet dude.
for what a shit show this script was, it was really fun to go to the woods and be out at that house together and shoot like the scene where we all are playing Never Have I Ever and the whole like brooking yourself thing comes out. I was watching us and I was just like tickled by it because we're genuinely laughing.
That's
and with
real.
Paul directing, like we were having fun in the scenes that tracked.
Definitely. And we were shooting nights too. We were late nights.
Oof.
So that was fun being in a cabin, like on a new location, up late, just hanging out with each other. It kind of felt like we were at camp together.
Yeah.
Because we were away at a different place that we had never been to before.
And having Lee and Antoine and Bevan with us, like it was just so fun.
Well, we didn't have our normal like getaway spots because we were all kind of in there together. So, there was a green room, but it was like our chairs were all different and in different places. We all just kind of ended up hanging out around the same area while other people were doing their scenes instead of disappearing into our trailers. I remember I don't know what the conversation was, but I remember that location was one of the only times James and I had like a really kind of long, meaningful conversation. Because most of the time we were just working and we wouldn't So I don't remember what it was. I just remember sitting in that living room, like just hanging out while somebody else was doing a scene, and we had a really nice long chat. And I was like, just always. Anytime you talk to James, it just reaffirms how much you love him, right?
Well, yeah, because he's so calm, and that's how Nathan is in this episode. He's like removed from the rest of the group. The rest of us are being super fucking extra, and there's like hijinks everywhere, and
he's pulling his own hijinks.
Nathan is becoming more and more like real life James, like more reserved, more mature, a little quieter, less bravado. Once he ditched Tim,
Where was Tim in this episode? That honestly would have been fun. We needed
Tim
him.
didn't get invited, guys.
It would have been really fun. Yeah, I mean, this was around when Brett started working and they started getting the higher ups got mad at him, and it's sad to think that like, in our early 20s we had grown-ups like being retaliatory with us because we were curious about the world and wanted to work on other sets. Oh, the horror.
Yeah.
It's like so dumb.
With us.
How embarrassing, honestly.
For them?
Could you imagine any of us doing that today?
To a child, to like a 20-something.
Yeah, and being like, how dare you? You want to go do another movie? Like, I'm going to punish you. It's so, oh my God, it's so embarrassing.
It's really, really weird. It's interesting to check ourselves now that we are the age that we are, because we are in the same position, like producing things and putting things out there into the world. And we have employees that are in their early 20s. And the idea of that kind of ownership is super strange. And you see it in this episode, like Daniil's character is vilified as a means to separate her from everyone else. And I feel like Daniil was oftentimes like separated from everyone else, cut her from the herd so you can get her attention yourself. Because what was happening during this whole Sunkissed campaign is that we were having to go to Sunkissed parties. And they would send our boss and they would send some of us. And I went to one with Lee and Daniil right during this time, because that's when this storyline was like blowing up with them. And it was a weekend of hell in Miami with like our boss crying in my hotel room and Daniil like barricading herself in a room and like craziness. And so then we would have to come to set and act, normal. It was there were so many things going on behind the scenes at this time. I think that's what I remember more. Like, I didn't remember shooting that club scene in this episode, but I remember all like the batshit stuff going on. That's the sense memory I have.
Yeah, I mean, this was a rough year for all of us. Like, season 3 was pretty brutal.
But like, favorite subject matter wise for me.
Yeah, which is so interesting, but it is wild to look back at it now and just think, I cannot imagine being a grown-up and behaving like that. And, not to like toot our own horn, but you guys, I'm so proud of us. Like, we made it through and we're pretty freaking well adjusted.
Okay. So we were speaking of grown-ups, Joy knows Paul better than anyone on the planet. And Paul directed this episode, and we had a nice little laugh. Because there are certain spots in this episode where we can remember Paul's direction. Because what's Paul's like big note? What's his big note always?
Commit.
Commit.
To the material.
Commit to the material. So
he's not wrong.
No.
It's just sometimes he gets stuck and can't. It's like there's an intersection between his sort of older brotherly need to make someone see something like learn. You have to learn your lesson right now. I'm going to force you to learn it because nobody else will tell you the truth. And sometimes it's like, okay, I love you, but also everyone goes on their own journey. Like you can only say what you say and then move on. Like you can't force people to learn things the way you want them to learn them. Anyway, tell your story. Sorry.
No, but this is what I would say. I would say this was a script where I felt like we were all saying, hey, can we have this line change? Hey, can we like change this? It doesn't make any sense for Peyton to walk from the porch to the swing. Like, and Paul was, to your point, teaching us a lesson where it's like, take the awful thing and make it work. That's your job. Hit your mark and make it work. And so we made a lot of things work in this episode.
We did.
And for me, it was when Pete Wentz was feeding me pasta sauce and Peyton has this really sarcastic like, because it was scripted that I was supposed to say, and I was like, what? Why can't I just be like, oh, that's good, man? You know, like, why can't I just say like a normal thing that a person would say? Paul's like, Hilarie, I want the Okay, well, you're going to get a
I also love the weirdness of...
That's family, man.
That is.
That's just family.
It is. The hoops they made that guy jump through, and the fact that Pete is like Nigella Lawson in this episode, like in every scene, he's like making an omelet, he's making a pasta, he's cooking a thing. Like what? But he committed, and it was very sweet.
That's it. You know, that is true, Hilarie. Though this sense of family. I mean, that's just what everybody's got their own weird quirks. Everybody has their certain way of doing things.
Yeah.
And when you we didn't have the advantage of space like we normally do, where if somebody in your family's annoying you, you just go, you go home and then you just see them later. Yeah. In this instance, we were all family, and it was like Christmas with your family where everybody's on top of each other for 4 days and you can't go anywhere and there's no space where you're free and you're all just pulling your hair out because everybody's little eccentricities are coming up to the surface and we're all just a little on edge.
Well, and there's no place to have a private conversation either. Because like if you wanted to have a conversation with Paul about the script, you'd have to have it in front of everyone else.
Right, which never goes very well.
That's not fun. I don't want to do that. What did you guys commit to? What'd you commit to in the episode? Huh?
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. A storyline about teenage masturbation.
Girl, you sold that.
I had to commit.
I was on your side for that. Yeah, I mean, you made it work. It's real.
You did.
Yeah, I do remember getting this script and reading like Brooke having this whole solo like, reading Lucas's letter in the hot tub, and I was like, oh, just kill me. Like, just make it stop. I don't want to do this. But it actually, like looking back on it, I'm so amused by the storyline, and I find it so funny. And I was saying this when we were watching, like that scene with Daniil and I, when Rachel walks in on Brooke, and then they have this thing in the hall, and it's like, you didn't see what you think you saw, and we're going back and forth. It was so funny, and I wish that what was happening behind the scenes hadn't been, because I feel like they made Brooke and Rachel enemies, like you were saying, to kind of segment her. Daniil and I are so funny together.
Yeah.
Like, I love our scenes together, and I want
Doesn't
more.
that happen later? Don't you guys become like comrades a little bit later?
Yeah, well, eventually we move in together, but it always is weird. Like, I don't know. I wish we'd really just been able to play and like go in the direction that it really worked.
She should have just gone back in the room with you, Like,
wow.
Hey, girl. What's up?
There was something about it though that I like about it's a love-hate. It's not just a pure constant hatred. It's like Cece Babcock and Nanny Fine. It's like, it's like it's fun.
It does make us all look like assholes, though, because if everyone hates Rachel, why are we at her house? Like, that's such a dick move.
I know, we're like, free cabin
It's
on
so
the lake.
weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really kind of a dick move. But you, honestly, like, the term brooking yourself is still around.
So smart.
And I'm not against it because I am very pro-sexuality, but I think that young women should be, they should respect their bodies and not just share them with everyone. That's my feminism is like, earn it. You motherfuckers can't earn this. So be, have a lot of high ideals about who you're going to sleep with if you're going to sleep with anyone. But brooking yourself is a great alternative to explore your own sexuality and stay safe. So that's my PSA.
Safety first.
I'm obsessed with this soapbox moment right now, Hilarie.
Listen, I remember like girlfriends of mine like sleeping with people in high school that were just mortifying, just like fucking mortifying. And I'd be like, ooh, sick, ooh, why don't you just masturbate? Like that was just, it seemed like
honestly,
such an easier answer.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see that storyline examined a little bit more because everybody else was paired off. So to see a young woman who was like, yeah, no, I'm not interested. I don't need one of you guys. I'm good.
I date me. Yeah.
Could have been interesting.
Yeah, I agree with you, Joy. Because who was alone? Rachel. No, but she's like kind of paired off with Mouth. I don't know.
Yeah.
Peyton's usually the cheese stands alone. I do like,
I loved the comedy for Bevan when the whole thing happens, the reveal happens during Never Have I Ever. And she's like, oh, I broke myself all the time. I was like, this is funny. Like,
I missed that. Maybe my computer glitched or something.
It was very, very funny.
It normalized it. Because what was supposed to be embarrassing for Brooke became like, yeah, everybody does that. Don't be embarrassed. That's stupid.
I loved Bevan and Antoine in this episode, by the way. It was so fun to see them. I love their interactions. I wish that, and maybe it happens in the future, I would love to see a little bit more meaningful conversations and meaningful like communication between the two of them. But it's so fun. It's so unexpected how kind of perfect they are for each other.
Yeah, they're so great. And also credit to Lee, the writer, for giving Bevan this hilarious niche arena of expertise. She knows the Latin name of every tree in the woods and how to spot that was so funny for the way that they wrote her character to be the very sort of archetypal ditzy cheerleader to then be like, a low-key Steve Irwin. I was loving every minute of that.
I always wanted to be somebody's shorty. Is that what she says to him?
Somebody's shorty.
I always wanted to be somebody's shorty.
Joy, can we talk about the proposal on the dock? What did you think about this storyline? Because we had opinions while we were watching.
Well, you said that he should have given her a different ring, which I agree. It was weird that they built this whole storyline for Nathan around getting her ring off her finger. I mean, well, I guess it's realistic. Like a high school boy would come up with that. All right, but there weren't high school boys in the writer's room, and it would have been nice for them to elevate the material a little bit and, come up with something.
Give boys something to aspire to.
Yeah, a little more creative. Yeah, I don't like the whole, you called it out, like stressing a woman out only to come in and save the day. It's just weird. It's a weird habit. But I love that they did this with Nathan and Haley, that they got to have their own real proposal moment and that they're going to have their own wedding that in front of people. I think that's really sweet.
I loved that too. And I thought it was really nice. We've been in such sadness, and to have an episode where we got to laugh and where there was some happiness, for all of its clunkiness. I really liked that they gave Nathan the reflection on what Keith's loss meant. Because obviously with Karen, it's really raw. Lucas is trying to figure out what this means for him and his mom. But there was something very I don't know. I thought it was very smart. Almost the way when you've got a great narrator in a story, they can offer perspective. Like they really gave Nathan the opportunity to offer us perspective and for him to say, you know, Karen and Keith didn't get to stand up in front of everyone and Haley and I didn't. And I want us to. What's unsaid is we're still here, so we'd better.
Yeah.
You know, let's be in community while we can. And I really thought that was such a special lesson to take away from grieving. And I think James did a beautiful job with it.
Yeah, I agree.
When does the wedding come? Is it like in a couple episodes or do we take our time with this one?
I feel like it's season 4.
Is it? No, you guys, it's the
No,
finale
it's
because
season
you
3.
go off a bridge, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
It's like the big finale.
Oh, yeah, it's the finale.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't go off a bridge. Nathan and Cooper? Cooper dives in. Nathan's in the limo. Why is
someone
Nathan in the
driving
limo?
drunk? Rachel was driving
Wait,
drunk.
Rachel's driving, isn't she?
Oh, and that Led Zeppelin song plays. They paid so much money for that Led Zeppelin song. Well, we'll get there when we talk about
We'll
it.
get there when we get there. Wow.
The cabin. Okay, so if we had to take our whole cast that was in this episode and go somewhere,
Ooh, fun.
like where would we go?
Anywhere?
I always
We
want to
would
go to
need-
the mountains.
Yeah, we would need more than 5 bedrooms, friends. Like
There's so many of us.
we're grown-ups now. We don't share.
I mean, are we not renting a house in the south of Italy and like
I mean, yeah. I've never been to the south of Italy. I don't know, girls. Tell me, is that where we should go?
That's where I want
Cinque
to go.
Terre? I don't know. Sophia, you know all the spots.
Oh man, my dream for myself is to take over like an old Italian villa, a whole agriturismo setup, make olive oil, and just retire in Italy with my tomato plants. And like that's yes,
I'll come visit you.
So
Okay.
if what you're saying is we could begin traveling around scouting, and it would be a reunion for work.
And
Sophie's like,
I'm
write
into
that
it.
off.
It's a tax
Don't tell the
write-off.
IRS.
I'm like, it's for work. It's for the podcast. We're working. Guys, let's go.
We're recreating season 3, episode 18.
Yeah, but like grown up fancy style. I'm into it.
Okay, grown-up stuff. We have to talk about Karen. We have to talk about Moira in that scene.
It was so beautiful.
Wow.
It was
Yeah,
scary.
that's another thing. It's like that bums me out. I mean, I love this show, guys. You guys, I love our show. I don't want it to feel like I don't. But it's because it's so good when it's good, and the potential, we know what they're capable of. So when it falls short, it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
And there was so much potential to have group grieving time, big tears, big laughter together, processing things together, rather than just everybody getting off all weekend. And like, it's like, how is this healing? And to bring that into Karen, like that would have blended so nicely with moments back in Tree Hill. And we could have seen that transition. Right now, again, it just felt so hodgepodge. It was like, we're at the lake, somebody's in a hot tub, it's cute, they're jumping on each other's back, somebody's it's like shenanigans. Oh wait, we're kissing a rock star. Karen's now doing Moira's doing like a serious acting piece moment. And then now we're back to the cabin, and it was schizophrenic episode.
This episode just didn't know what it wanted to be.
You forgot the club night, Joy. You forgot the
and-
dance
yeah.
party
I forgot the dance club.
There was a DJ.
with the girls shaking the t-shirts.
That poor girl. She's like, here, does anyone want one of these? No? Cool. I think it could have been so special, especially because this was clearly inspired by The Big Chill.
Yeah.
And if we'd gone to that cabin and the Never Have I Ever had turned into more of a share, and you had seen especially what this loss and the processing of it meant for Lucas, and then for Lucas and Nathan as brothers, and then you had cut to Karen saying, you have 2 sons, where were you, your responsibility to your family, and you could have cut back and seen the way that like this younger generation of Scott boys is doing family responsibility differently. There could have really been grief process and, you know, the humor that sometimes comes with that release
Yeah.
done in a way. And we could have gone to like dance downtown in the next episode. You know, I do agree. I feel like they rushed it and they sort of scissored 4 episodes together, and it was a missed opportunity.
Yeah. Well, why do talk therapy when you can just have an orgasm? You know, that fixes everything. Honestly,
Exactly.
but that's all. But to Joy's point, that's all it came down to. It was like,
God.
if the kids can just get off, they'll forget about all the trauma.
Right.
You know, ew.
Mm-hmm.
There's something so beautiful about the humor is the wrong word. Help me. When you're grieving and it's laughter that tears that turn to laughter that turn back to tears, and it's the back and forth. I mean, I was just visiting family for a death in the family, and we had a service, and everybody had come from, you know, all 4 corners to just come and be there. And I know, Hilarie, you've also you've sat Shiva several times in the last couple of years. I've never done that. Is the experience, I mean, do you experience that in those environments as well, when it's just, and I'm sure, Sophia, you've done that as well too.
I'm sorry about your family, Joy. I mean,
Yeah, but it's just, I mean, it's so wonderful to see everyone and be together. And it's hard to just sit and be real. Like, you want to make everybody feel better or do something, and everybody's kind of serving these roles. Like, where do I fit? How do I serve my role here? And to see everyone feel awkward together. I'm kind of talking in circles, but I think that would have been so nice to see.
No, but to your point, I find that in those situations, I used to be the dishwasher, right? Because there's always the person who's like, there's the person who's like, I'm the trash bag person, I'm the dishwasher, I'm like the busy person. And as I've gotten older and have been to more of those events, I'm the corner talker. And so you find the person in the corner who doesn't quite know what to do, and you start telling stories that are funny, to your point, you know, and giving people permission to laugh at those events is so important. And you have to read the room, you know, like you have to know that the person closest to the loss is okay with that. But sitting Shiva is great because you give yourself full permission to go dark and just sit and feel all the feelings for days. And then at the very end of it, everyone who's joined in and the family that's lost someone is supposed to get up and like take a lap around the block together. And that symbolizes getting back out there into the world. And
so beautiful.
That to me is my favorite part of it. And that's kind of what our characters are doing in this show. Like the very last shot of us all lined up, we are out in the world together. And those group scenes, you know, even when we have to do clunky shit, they do hold a certain magic because we all represent really different things to our audience base. And to see that they can all play nicely together is a good visual, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's interesting. Our issue with the episode is that we weren't really given time to grieve.
Yeah.
And I think as we've all experienced loss, you know, what you're really saying, Joy, is that time is so important. And it is, you know, to echo your point, Hill, it is what I love about the tradition of Shiva. It's not rushed. And everything we do in the world feels so rushed.
Yeah.
And to have something old and sacred about community that says, sit here for days and days together.
Feel.
Really process. Really be in this. Really give yourself the space to experience whatever you will experience. And then together begin to return. I wish we had more practices like that.
Wouldn't it have been cool to see all of the Tree Hill kids just like walking down Front Street together, like taking the lap together? Did we ever do that?
No.
I don't think so.
For as much as we shot downtown, I don't feel like there was ever like a what is it, Reservoir Dogs scene of all of us just like walking down the street.
Oh.
Yeah, there should have been.
Think about how cool that would have been if there was somebody in the group who was of the Jewish faith, like in our group, and who we were all trying to process our grief and we didn't know how to do it. And somebody brought up like, well, this is what we do in my faith. And we all sort of like embraced it and figured out some weird way at the cabin to just like do our own version of Shiva. Like that would have been so interesting to watch and go through and then take the lap around the cabin.
But we couldn't have been drinking wine and wearing sun-kissed shirts, Joy. It just doesn't match up. It was a big swing and a miss with this episode.
I'm saying it out loud because it's like I'm like trying to rewrite it in my head so that when I walk away, I don't feel so bad about this episode. I can be like, no, this is what really happened in my mind. I created a whole new story.
Can we storyboard that? Can somebody do that for us?
I'm so into it.
Okay. Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, you know when everyone always says like, well, what do you think your character would be doing today? I'm like, the questions I want to answer are, how would you ladies have rewritten your show?
Oh, yeah.
We just pick an episode and rewrite it.
But you have to stay in your bathing suit the whole time, Sophia. That's good. Guys, did you see Antoine and Bevan's breath in the woods? And then knowing you guys were in those hot tubs, it was awful. It was awful. I felt so bad for you guys.
It was so cold. Also, I was laughing at myself because I had to get out of the hot tub, after reading the letter. And I was like, oh man, I see exactly what I'm doing there. I'm like, oh, you guys want to get us out of the water in bikinis all wet? Off. I'm going to turn my back on you. I'm going to hunch over like a little gremlin and get in a towel. Like, I was like, you want the like sexy, red bikini shot? You can't have it.
Can't have it.
Just like my little protestations.
Sophia, you didn't commit. You didn't commit.
I didn't commit.
She committed to something different.
Yeah.
I committed to me.
And I love that like Brooke's just wearing a sweatshirt the whole episode. She's just wearing Lucas's sweatshirt.
I know.
It's
cutie. I did too. It felt really real. And I think that was something we decided on. I vaguely remember having a conversation with Paul about that. Like, why are we dressed up in the woods? And it was like, well, yeah, all right, what do you want to do? Put on a suit. Great, do it. And I love when actors direct because you get to make those kinds of decisions that feel so honest.
Totally.
You know what I will say also gets a sweet honorable mention in this episode? I loved Peyton and Mouth in the bunk beds talking.
Oh, yeah, that was cute.
I could still share a room with Lee.
Oh, yeah. Same.
Like if I had to,
that was
I feel
so
like
sweet.
When Lee and I did that Christmas movie down in Louisiana, our hotel rooms were right next to each other. And it felt kind of the same energy. I was just like, hey, boss, you coming over? We're making macaroni and cheese.
You want to hang out?
I got a bottle of wine and some kid food. Come over.
Yeah.
All right, Vanessa says, how would you feel about a prequel showing young Dan, Keith, Karen, and Deb? We've talked about this before. That's a great idea and should be done.
Wait, who would we cast? I don't know a lot of child actors. I'm trying to think of like my Nickelodeon Disney Channel repertoire.
Oh.
But that would be really fun to see them in the, I guess it would be the late 70s, early 80s?
No. Because if we filmed in 2003 and our characters were supposed to be 16, that puts them in their senior year, 16 years before 2003. Somebody's going to have to do the math. That's like
16 before 2090, no.
87.
Yeah, so 80s.
1987?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
So you'd want to see like a few years before she gets pregnant.
What
if...
Ooh, the 80s. It'd be like Tree Hill meets Stranger Things.
I was just going to say, what if that's the crossover? What if that cute kid with the good hair grows up to be Dan Scott?
I'm into that.
Okay.
I'm into it.
All
I
right.
would love to see that happen.
I think what would be interesting too is because as it goes, the storyline, Dan meets Deb in college. So you would have to have a story that's centered around Dan and Keith. And it would be really interesting to see how Keith watched Dan and Karen's relationship and then what happened when Dan broke Karen's heart, picked Deb, brought her home for like the first, winter break from college or whatever, it would be really juicy.
And to see like a young Tess Harper and Gerald McCraney types.
But guys, speaking of backstory, that was one of the things that really struck me about this episode. Where are Karen's parents?
Yeah.
Where is anyone?
Why is she alone?
We've never explained it. No one's ever said she's an orphan. No one's ever.
And Royal and who does Tess? I can't remember what Dan and Keith's mom's name was, but they don't show up. The grandparents don't show up to their own son's funeral. Nobody explains it. It's just totally sideswiped.
That's another thing we'd change about this episode.
Yeah.
Because that's when everyone shows up and rallies, you know?
Yep. And we could see a young Ellie too. Like maybe there could be some sort of like intersection there somehow.
I'm so obsessed with the backstory of Ellie and then John Doe, who played my dad, like hooking up on the concert circuit back in the day. And then like Victoria's a whole like dynasty series waiting to happen.
Oh my gosh. That's right.
Yeah, we want all the backstory.
Give it to us.
Yeah, so somebody write a check. Done.
That's exactly right.
All right. Riley asks, where would you rather hang out? Trick, the River Court, or Karen's Cafe?
Okay, wait. Is this me like me now or me in high school? Like, is this us in high school or?
Ooh, I immediately went to now.
Now I'd be in Karen's Cafe probably. I'd be like go right and I'd hang out and like chill there.
I'm going to have to say trick for both guys. I'm still just like a bar rat. I'm like, hey man, can I get in some trouble here? Okay, that sounds good. How late are you open?
Totally. High school me definitely wants to go to Trick, but also I want to go to Trick and hang out with you guys in the green room and be like, no, this is ours. Like, this is our little space. Yeah. We'll go watch the music, but then we have our little room back here because, you know,
because
it belongs to us. Makes me feel very territorial, but in a sweet way. Yeah. If that makes sense.
No, it's good territorial. This is my hangout. It was cool. It's cool.
It's our clubhouse, man.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe, do we need to open our own Trick at some point?
Yes.
Okay.
We do.
Planting that seed. Let's do that.
Boom.
Okay.
Perfect. You guys, let's spin a wheel. I'm so glad that we're back to happiness. Let's see what the wheel says for us. This is my favorite in a long time. This is, you guys, who is most likely to secretly be a vampire?
Secretly be a vampire.
I mean, we've been spinning wheels for a long time here.
We've never gotten that one before. My goodness.
I think Dan easily transitions over to what was that show with all the vampires on it? What was that show?
True Blood?
True Blood?
No. The show that was on at the same time as us with the vampires.
The
Vampire Diaries.
Yeah.
Vampire Diaries.
Big vampires, little vampires. Yeah, well, who doesn't age? Joy, you don't fucking age. You haven't aged. Are you immortal? Go on. She's shushing us. Shh.
Oh my God.
Don't tell anyone. I'm just drinking the blood of virgins over here.
Yeah. I think Dan Scott would for sure drink any blood he needed to stay alive.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I also like the first thing I pictured when it was like, who's most likely to be a vampire is like all the creepy old medieval shit you used to have in your house, Hilarie. I'm like, you probably have a coffin that's a coffee table. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere in storage that lives. So,
well, guys, it's not a secret. The whole thing was secretly be a vampire.
You're
I am
right,
out and proud. Oh my God. Remember, we were so obsessed with True Blood while we were filming our show.
I just emptied out boxes of books that I've had in storage for 100 years. I mean, I still found things that I've been storing since high school. I pulled, and I was sending you all those photos from set because I was finding all this stuff. I have every book in the series of True Blood.
Yes.
I just found them all. We were so obsessed.
Wow.
Obsessed with that. Like the opening theme to that show, I was just like, this is the sexiest thing I've ever seen on television.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Skarsgård is terrifying and so handsome.
To die for.
What a world. What a world.
I know. And we were so excited when Joe Mango went over to play with them.
I know.
Yeah.
Man.
He made a great werewolf. All right. What do we have next next episode.
I think you should read it,
No,
Hilarie.
you guys, it's embarrassing.
No, you read it.
Okay.
It's Peyton's moment.
It's season 3, episode 19, titled I Slept with Someone in Fall Out Boy and all I got was the stupid song written about me. And for the record, so many people have alluded to the fact that they thought that Peyton and Pete slept together in this episode. And I, for one, even when filming it, never thought that because Peyton is fully clothed the whole time. Like in the zip-up sweatshirt that she's had on the whole time.
Remember, I asked when you guys were having the talk about the tattoos, I'm like, why doesn't he have his shirt on? Like, it's weird.
Yeah,
because it's so clearly not happening.
Because somebody walked over to him at the last second probably and was like, we want to do this scene without your shirt. Is that okay? And he was like, sure.
Well, or somebody said, you can't have your shirt on if you're counting your tattoos.
Yeah, well, neither Hilarie Burton or Peyton Sawyer has had sex with anyone in Fall Out Boy. So,
boom, done.
Clear. Rumor squashed. Until next week, everyone.
Go get your squash. It's October. Hey, thanks for listening.
Don't forget to leave us a review. You can also follow us on Instagram at DramaQueensOTH.
Or email us at dramaqueens@iHeartRadio.com. See you next time.
We're all about that high school drama girl, all about them high school queens. We'll take you for a ride in our comic girl, cheering for the right team. Drama queens, smart girl, rough girl, fashion but you're tough girl. You could sit with us, girl. Drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens.